except that even as a mechanic, he already had the sense to improve the lives of his fellow men. What is it about ordinary men and women who turn their back on a comfortable life so they can clean up oceans and light up villages? How can they know that what they fight for will make governments sit up and listen? What moves these ordinary people to do extraordinary things? It's called greatness of spirit. It is celebrated every 31st of August by the Ramon Magsaysay Foundation as a fitting homage to the legacy of the Philippine president who was once called Man of the Masses. He believed that the little man is entitled to a little bit more of everything, and that no one's dignity should ever be compromised. Today, over 300 ordinary men and women have displayed the same conviction and courage to transform society, and thus have been honored with the Ramon Magsaysay Award. For protecting fundamental human rights, for encouraging the poor to become asset creators, or for just playing music that colors the mind. And while the award can boost ordinary men and women to celebrity, many of the winners use it to enable them to work much harder for the communities they serve, because they know that the award is not about them, but about the solutions they make. That's how ordinary men and women become extraordinary.
Any institution that has spanned 3 generations will surely have stories to tell. What more an institution that has spent 60 years searching throughout Asia to identify those whose work has transformed society? By 2018, 330 laureates will have been honored with a golden medallion. It bears the likeness of the leader who inspired the awards in 1957, only weeks after the tragic plane crash that took his life. Ramon Magsaysay is possibly the most fondly remembered and loved president of the Philippines. His concern for the welfare of Filipinos, especially of marginalized sectors, is legend. One of the world's outstanding leaders of his time, Ramon Magsaysay's legacy is captured by the phrase greatness of spirit, a concept that is intangible, uncontainable, and inherently powerful. Greatness of spirit is bigger, deeper, and farther reaching than any material measurement of success, and it is greatness of spirit that makes the Ramon Magsaysay Awards so uniquely Asian. Asia, where the world's economists have identified the highest growth potential in recent years, attracting attention and investments. But here, millions of families live in dire need of proper shelter, nutrition and health, education, and sources of income. Clearly, lifting them from extreme poverty would make a significant difference in the overall quality of life on our planet. This is the task to which the Ramon Magsaysay awardees have devoted themselves, and their solutions have been astounding. In Bangladesh, its poor had inadequate access to credit, a major hurdle to the fulfillment of basic human needs. Hence, usury rates were the norm, especially in agriculture. Such exorbitant rates crippled investments and further disempowered the poor. In 1972, a bright young man named Muhammad Yunus returned to his city of birth. Armed with a PhD and a desire to contribute something meaningful to his newly established country, he set up a rural economics program to do research in the surrounding villages. Later, Yunus developed a radical solution, the Grameen Bank project, to finance landless poor women. Grameen means village. It was meant to give microloans without collateral to the poorest segments of society. It bypassed the moneylenders, creating self-employment by bringing disadvantaged village women into an organization that they could understand and operate. Peer pressure and shared values worked to urge each member of the borrower groups to repay their loans on time. Back then, banking on the poor was a truly revolutionary idea. Its results were so surprising that it caught on and spread. Muhammad Yunus received the Ramon Magsaysay Award for Community Leadership in 1984, and years later, the Nobel Prize. What began in Bangladesh over 40 years ago has been replicated in over 60 countries in the world, proving that given credit, the poorest communities can be as productive as the rest. Oita Prefecture on the northeast coast of Kyushu Island was once Japan's gateway to the outside world. By the 1970s, Oita was a backwater, idling in relative poverty amid a nation rising quickly to wealth. But one man changed all this. In 1975, Morihiko Hiramatsu was elected governor of Oita. Revitalizing Oita became Hiramatsu's passion. He knew that certain regions had made a name for themselves by producing signature products. So why not encourage every community to devote itself to excel in a single product? Hiramatsu named his innovative development plan One Village, One Product, or OVOP for short. The prefecture's diverse communities competed with one another to select and perfect a product of their own. Kakosu chose limes, Himeshima its prawns, Oyama its plums, and Beppu its bamboo ware and hot springs. Self-reliance was an important goal, hence there were no subsidies. Instead, Hiramatsu provided technical assistance
72 years ago, a man once stood at the helm of a wounded and recovering nation. He was not just leading a government, he was showing the world a different way of leadership, one rooted in humility, action, and a deep respect for the common man. That man was Ramon Magsaysay, the 7th President of the Philippines. Believed that leadership was not about power, but about selfless service. That simplicity, integrity, and moral courage could and should define public life. In his words and in his deeds, he reminded us that those who have less in life should have more in law. And he lived these truths not just in the policies he championed, but in how he showed up for people. He listened. He walked among the Filipinos and upheld laws grounded in justice and policies shaped by compassion. When the first Ramon Magsaysay Awards were conferred 67 years ago, the goal was not simply to preserve a memory. It was to carry forward a vision, to find and honor individuals and organizations who, like him, live with conscience, who transforms societies not with fanfare, but with resolute courage, who live the values of selfless service and integrity no matter the cost. Today, we mark the 118th birth anniversary of President Ramon Magsaysay. We remember not just the man, but the legacy he inspired, honesty in public service, empathy in leadership, and the unwavering belief that change is possible when it begins with character. In honoring him today, we are reminded that all of us, regardless of who we are, share the responsibility to act, to live, and to always serve with integrity. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po kayo.
Good morning from Manila, and to friends joining us from all over the world, welcome. Thank you for being with us today. I am Susan Afan, President of the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation, and it is my honor to welcome you all to the global announcement of the 2025 Ramon Magsaysay Awardees. We gather at a time when the world feels uncertain. Across continents, we see deep fractures in our climate, in our institutions, and in our trust in one another. Disinformation distorts reality, inequality grows, and the pace of change often leaves the most vulnerable behind. Yet, amidst these challenges, something extraordinary continues to shine through. There are those who meet uncertainty with courage, who repair what is broken, nurture what has been neglected, and restore what we feared was lost. They don't wait for approval or the perfect timing. They step forward, take action, and begin the work of change. At the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation, we have always believed in honoring such leaders. Those whose transformative leadership uplifts communities, transforms systems, and renews our faith in humanity's capacity to serve. We call it greatness of spirit. For 67 years, the Ramon Magsaysay Award has recognized individuals and organizations across Asia who, through selfless service and moral courage, show us what is possible when leadership is rooted in integrity and hope. This morning, as we announce the 2025 Ramon Magsaysay Awardees, we are not just presenting names, we are actually telling stories of perseverance, innovation, and compassion. Stories that push back against despair. Stories that remind us that leadership can still be genuine, that service can still move mountains, and that hope is not just possible, it is real. It is now my privilege to introduce the chairperson of the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation, Mr. Edgar O. Chua, to announce the 2025 Ramon Magsaysay awardees. Joining Mr. Chua are selected past Ramon Magsaysay awardees and esteemed members of our Board of Trustees who will share more about the specific advocacies of this year's Magsaysay laureates.
I'm Sima Samar from Afghanistan. The Ramon Magsaysay Award has long honored those who see education not just as instruction, but as a way to shape lives, community, and futures. Education is meant to nurture the whole person, heart, minds, and spirit. In a world where faith and tradition are often seen in conflict with progress, we are reminded that they can grow together, that even in the most traditional space, it is possible to open new paths for the marginalized, especially for young women and girls, and toward knowledge, dignity, and empowerment. Thank you so much.
Our long line of Ramon Magsaysay awardees includes educators and education advocates who turned chalkboards into catalysts for change and classrooms into sanctuaries of possibility. For the first time in our 67-year history, an organization from the great country of India is elected to receive Asia's premier prize and highest honor. Our first 2025 Ramon Magsaysay awardee from India, Foundation to Educate Girls Globally, more commonly known as Educate Girls.
In many parts of the world, a child's chance to learn still depends on where they are born, how large or how little their family earns, or the traditions they are born into. In the most underserved communities of India, education is not a right, it is a privilege. And for millions of children, especially girls, that privilege remains out of reach. Barriers of poverty, discrimination, and indifference keep them from classrooms and from the opportunity to shape better futures for themselves and their communities. But an organization has dared to break this cycle, not with charity, but with community-led transformation. Since 2007, Educate Girls has redefined what is possible. With an audacious vision of behavioral, social, and economic change, they have empowered villages to become champions for their own daughters. By mobilizing parents, thousands of local volunteers, and government systems, they have built a self-sustaining model that brings girls not only back to school, but forward into opportunity. Their work is more than education. It is a force for systemic change, a movement toward a world where no child and no girl is left behind.
When we speak of the environment, we often think of forests, rivers, and oceans as if they are separate from us. But the truth is deeply personal. The environment is the air in our lungs, the water in our cups, the ground beneath our feet. In Indonesia, I have seen how quickly this lifeline can be destroyed. Illegal logging strips the forest bare. Coral reefs are blasted apart. When communities have cared for the land for generations are pushed aside. And always, it is the poorest who suffer most and suffer first. When the environment is poisoned, we are poisoned. When it is destroyed, we are destroyed. what we lose is not only nature, but justice, dignity, and life itself. The Ramon Magsaysay awardees remind us that we are not alone in this fight. Across Asia, many brave people stand together to protect the environment, demand accountability, and defend what is right, which is healthy, livable environment for all.
Following in the footsteps of past Ramon Magsaysay laureates who have shown unwavering courage in protecting the environment and standing with vulnerable communities, this year's second Ramon Magsaysay awardee carries forward that legacy of bold, compassionate action in the face of crisis. This year, marking another historic first, the Ramon Magsaysay Award is being conferred to a transformative leader from the Maldives, Shaina Ali.
Across the world, environmental threats are escalating at an alarming pace. Coastlines are shrinking, coral reefs are bleaching, and oceans are choking on plastic. Entire communities are being forced to reckon with the possibility of losing not just their homes, but their history, identity, and way of life. In the heart of the Indian Ocean lies the Maldives, a paradise slowly turning into plastic. But even in the face of this looming threat, it has become a beacon of what is possible when determination meets action. From a small nation in the world's largest continent, Shaina Ali believed that even the most remote island could lead the way. Rooted in photojournalism and driven by an unwavering passion for marine conservation, Shaina became the first woman to work professionally in the Maldivian dive industry. Her initiatives champion eco-innovation, youth education, and community-driven solutions, ensuring that every island, every classroom, every conversation contributes to the movement. Through Parley Maldives, she has made it her mission to ensure the next generation not only understands the environment, but feels deeply responsible for it. Shaina Ali's work proves that when action is rooted in love for one's place, even a small country can become a force for global change.
Injustice is not always loud. Sometimes it seeps quietly into the lives of the vulnerable, like when a family is driven from their home, when a child's education is cut short, when a voice is silenced before it can speak. I have seen this. These encounters have shown that while injustice can strip people of their homes and security, it can never erase their resilience or their will to reclaim their lives. This conviction is shared by my fellow Ramon Magsaysay awardees, whose diverse causes, from defending human rights to safeguarding the environment, are bound by the same belief that justice must be lived, not merely promised. Together, we work to dismantle barriers, amplify unheard voices, and protect the freedoms that make a dignified life possible. Social justice is not a singular act, nor the mission of a few. It is a collective responsibility carried by those who refuse to accept a world where the most vulnerable remain unprotected. It is in this shared duty that we find both purpose and hope.
For 6 decades, the Ramon Magsaysay Award has honored 13 Catholic priests whose ministries have gone far beyond the walls of their churches, leading movements for justice, guiding the lost, and standing in the breach for the most vulnerable. This year, one more will join their ranks, carrying forward that legacy of faith in action, completing the 2025 Ramon Magsaysay awardees. From the Philippines, Father Flaviano Villanueva. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pride, I present to you our 2025 Ramon Magsaysay awardees. From India, Foundation to Educate Girls Globally. From the Maldives, Shaina Ali. From the Philippines, Father Flaviano Villanueva. In a time when the world feels like it is falling apart, these transformative leaders refuse to forget. They repair what was abandoned and insist on a future that not only remembers, but ignites the way forward. These are the 2025 Ramon Magsaysay awardees, illuminating our future. We invite everyone across Asia and beyond to join us in celebrating the remarkable spirit of the 2025 Ramon Magsaysay awardees. Be part of their stories by attending the individual lectures this November 4 to 6 and learn how their work is making a real difference in communities throughout Asia. Mark your calendars for the 67th Ramon Magsaysay Awards presentation ceremonies on Friday, November 7 at the Metropolitan Theater in Manila, Philippines. You can also join us via live stream on the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation's official Facebook page and YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us today.